Yes, my G's, how are you guys doing? Today I'm going to show you a really cool way how you can layer up your snare drum using some interesting pitch ideas for your layers. And you actually don't need to add any new layers. You can use the snare drum which you've already chosen. And we're basically going to be pitching a couple of layers and then processing them separately to create a thicker and fuller sounding snare drum in the end. All right, so here's how the beat sounds like once I've had my snare layers added in. So you can hear the snare drum sounds really nice and full and thick. If I take the layers off, and back on, it's got a much nicer character to it. It's, I would say, yeah, at least like 25% or 30% bigger overall, and it's really easy to do, and you don't have to add new samples on top. So basically what we're going to do is you're going to take your main snare drum here, and different DAWs have different methods, but basically you're going to bounce it out so you've got a fresh version of it. And then all I'm going to do for this file that I've bounced out is in Logic I'm going to put it into the sampler, and here I can change the pitch, right? So I'm basically going to turn it up one semitone. There's one semitone higher, and I'm going to bounce out that. So I've got a version of the snare one semitone higher, and then I'm going to do the same one semitone lower, and then bounce that out as well. So then I've got two versions of the snare. One is one semitone higher than the original, and one is one semitone lower. All right. So once I've done that, I'm going to set them onto two different channels over here, layer them over the main snare. So now I've got one here which is one semitone higher, and then I've got one down here which is one semitone lower. Then we're basically going to pitch. We're going to pan the high one to the left. Doesn't have to be perfect, but maybe -21 here. And we're going to pan the low one to the right, maybe a little bit more on this one, +34. So one to the left and one to the right. So you have a bit of a detuned effect already, you know, laid with the original. Okay, but there's still, although we've changed the pitch of the snares, what we need to do next is further change the harmonics of both of them. So this is where we're going to start processing both of the layers now. So to process the layers, we're basically going to do the same kind of processing on both, but slightly different. And we're essentially going to do two main things, which is to add two types of reverb. And the idea here is to change the harmonics and also soften the sound a bit. So I'm going to use firstly the Space Blender, the free one from Sound Toys. And I'm just going to find a nice spot around here. Obviously you can sort of move the point around. You can change the time and the mix as well. And basically, yeah, just settle upon a point. Quite a nice tight one, but it has this really nice character to it now. And then after that, I'm just going to do a classic bit of convolution reverb with the kilohertz convolver. Again, not all the way up, but yeah, around 29% or so. So we've sort of convoluted it and given it a bit of a special reverb sound with the Space Blender. Now we're basically just going to low cut it, sort of around 500. And then we're going to transit shape it a little bit because the reverb makes it quite long. So we're going to tighten it all up a bit. Take a lot of the sustain off, tiny bit of the attack off as well, and then one more little low pass just to really take out any extra low end that's still in there. So that's how it kind of sounds like in the end. And then we're just going to do the same thing for the layer on the right now, the one that's pitched down a semitone. So same again, finding a spot in the Space Blender that sounds cool. It's slightly different this time. All right, so kind of different harmonics, which is important. Again, the convolver, just to further refine it and wash it out a little bit more. And then once again, yeah, low cutting around sort of 500. Again with the transient shaper, taking some of the sustain off. And then finally, one more low cut. And then we've got these two layers that are just going to sit behind the main snare. Turn the volume on them both down a bit as well, 4 or 5 dB on each one. Again, it's not like you don't have to make them identical, the left and right layers. Like they can be slightly different volumes, slightly different panning. That all adds to the natural feeling. So back with the main snare. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to sort of, as I've already done here, put them in a group, okay? And then we'll apply a couple of effects on the group to really gel them all together in a great way that doesn't disrupt the dynamics of the sound. So there's just a couple of things I like to do on the whole group of the snares now to gel them all together. And I don't need to use a compressor to do that because that will actually reduce the volume of the main snare. And so to keep it all punchy and powerful and loud, I won't be using a compressor on there to gel it together. But there's other things I can do. For example, I can distort it all together. So let's apply some multi-band distortion with the multi-pass. And here I'm just distorting everything above 1K approximately. I'm just mixing it in a little bit. So it's just a little subtle high-end distortion on everything. Then I'm going to EQ out any rumble that doesn't need to be in there. There's a bit of rumble in the low end. And yeah, it cleans it up all nice and tightly together. And then finally, a great way to add more cohesion is to apply another transient shaper to take off more sustain. And this time it's going to shape the tail of all the three snare, the main snare and the two layers all together. So it's going to have this natural finish. So this whole snare feels like it finishes together. You know, this is my favorite way to gel a snare together with all of its layers. So obviously it could go really tight, but I want some of the character in there still. It's sort of around 30% or so. Then I just clip the output of the bus. We'll clip it at the end so it doesn't, go into the red. And then the snare group is done. And just again, so without the layers that we processed before. It's a good snare, it's right down the middle, it's nice. But with the extra layers now, this extra width and character and fullness comes in. So these small differences are, these small details are what is going to make the biggest difference in your tracks, because all the little details you put in will all stack up to create a really high quality finish. And especially on important sounds like snares, is worth doing stuff like this to get the best final result in your mix. All right, my G's. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you leave a comment down below. Leave some suggestions for what other types of tutorials you'd like. Make sure you subscribe as well, like the video and all that. And if you want to take things further, you can also check out the links down below. I have production lessons available, teaching from Monday through Saturday, 7 AM European time, right up to 9 PM European time. So really, that's my main, that's the job that gets the most priority in my day, in my students, so it's the number one. Then I also have mastering services as well. I typically need around 3 to 5 days to finish off a master, mix and master, or just a normal master. If you want more information, you can email me down below, but you'll get really high quality results if you pick me for that. And finally, also come along and join my Discord if you want to hang out and chat and talk with other members in the community. It's a great way to connect and network. And the links for that are downstairs as well via my Patreon. And one more thing as well, I've got preset packs available on my website for Serum, Faceplant, and Vital and Current as well. So check out those if you want some fresh bass sounds and leads and pads and ARPs and FX and all that kind of good stuff. All right, that's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.